Hello, my name's Tom Butero. I am a licensed independent clinical social worker here in Massachusetts. And in June of last year, I wrote this book. It's called I Don't Want to Die, a new look at suicide assessment, intervention, and prevention. It's available online through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, bookshop.org, or the publisher Kohler Books. I get a lot of questions about why I wrote this book. I've done a couple of TV interviews and I've done some podcasts. And the first question that people tend to ask me is why I got interested in the whole topic of suicide and suicide prevention in the first place. The answer to that is a little bit complicated, and I don't want to take up a whole lot of time, but let me just explain. My first job out of when I got my bachelor's degree, I was brought on as part of a crisis team at a community mental health center in southwestern Illinois, literally across the river from St. Louis. We had a lot of crisis cases. We had a lot of people walk in. We had after hours phone calls, all sorts of things. But the one that stuck in my mind and the one that shows up in the prologue of my book is an actual case in which I was involved. I was on the crisis phone that day, happened to be my turn, and took a phone call from a gentleman who had taken a near fatal overdose. This is going way back, pre-cell phones, pre-computerized tracking systems. You wanted to trace a phone call, it would take 40 to 45 minutes easily. So this was not a simple process. The whole experience is, as I explained, written in the prologue of the book. And actually that's where the title of the book came from as well. There were a couple of times during my phone call and my conversation with this gentleman where he literally said, "I don't want to die." That and my other experiences led me to believe that suicide and suicide prevention is something that I was going to need to learn as much as I could about, partially because of the need for me to be able to effectively intervene in a crisis situation where suicide is an issue, partially out of my own need to learn and to explore and to, as I say, learn as much as I could about the topic. And that's what really got me interested. And over the span of my somewhat 50-year career, I've done a lot of reading, I've done a lot of research, and the book is the result of my 50 years experience of reading, research, and practice around the issue of suicide and suicide prevention. So that's kind of my background in terms of how I got interested in the topic. The other question I get when I do interviews is what prompted me to write the book? That's a little bit complicated as well. I mean, a lot of people know a lot of different things, and a lot of people get involved and learn about certain subjects in certain areas and never do anything about it. What prompted me to write the book was two things. First of all, I've always been interested in writing. It's something that I've always enjoyed doing. Secondly, I did a workshop for a group of outpatient mental health providers on suicide and suicide prevention. And as they walked in, one of the clinicians asked me which model I was going to be presenting. And I looked at her and I kind of smiled and I said, Tom's, meaning mine, which is the other part of the book as well, is my approach to assessment and prevention. But it struck me at the time after doing the presentation that I needed to take all of my knowledge and all of my experience, and maybe it was time to put it on paper. Maybe it was time to write about this topic and what I know about it. And that's what prompted me to write the book. So those two things are kind of my experience and my background and my reasoning behind writing the book. Let me put it up here one more time. And again, available through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, bookshop.org, numerous other online bookstores, as well as through the publisher Kohler Books. So I hope you take an interest in this. I hope you take a look at the book, and perhaps this is enough to prompt you to maybe want to go out and buy a copy. So thank you very much, and have a good day.